Hey yo, what is up guys, it's your boy Twe here. This will be a video on the newest patch coming with Evan. Now I've already done the sneak peek, so there's a lot of information coming from that. Everything that is new is something that I will be going over. I hope that the guy outside hitting will stop at some point because it's getting me off a little bit. But without further ado, let's start with Evan and how much of a monster he's gonna be. I've already read about everything and he is gonna be godlike. Okay, so first off, his skills. The way his skills work, if you press one skill on his green form, you will then turn into the dark form. If you then do another skill, you turn back into the green form once again. That's the way his 6 skills work. So it's basically like but you cannot toggle off and on which form you are taking. So the skills in itself, heals all allies on S1, increasing heal rate as well. So that is awesome for my chase. However, this could probably be dispelled, but I'm not quite sure how much this will be. Now then, on the S1, on the darker form, it will deal physical damage to the enemies, and it will then also give them extra physical damage for a certain amount of time. It says that it can get dispelled, so that's pretty interesting. So we are gonna do damage with this dude. Super interesting. So onto the S2, places a magic circle in a wide range of a certain time, healing HP of enemies, blah 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 blah, and increasing their attack speed. So basically, my chase is gonna get more attack speed, my cane is gonna get more attack speed, my Loman is gonna get more attack speed. I'm just watching this purely for PvP purposes, because if you translate this to Shockman as well, monstrous. The fact that this cannot get dispelled and you have a heal over time. Oh man, I can only imagine. Yo, if after this patch, if you give me time to play, you will die. If you don't hit me, one shot me, one go, you're dead. Skill 2 deals damage within a certain amount of time, dispelling positive effects of the hit enemies, and places a magical circle for an X amount of time. Now, I'm not sure how I should read this, so if this is a continuous dispel or if it dispels on hit, I kind of think it's the last part, but we'll have to check about that. And it reduces attack every second. This is in the department of you don't get to play. This is the you don't get to play department. Now, I believe his 3rd skill is one of the most interesting skills, which makes him viable in Big Shockman and even Little Shockman to a certain degree, because it says it creates a shield that absorbs damage and recovers mana on all allies. So he's basically a Lice and a Baldwin or a Frey building 1. Nice, because you gain CC immunity. That's what we need into the laser phase on the bigger Shockman. However, this can still get removed, but if you get the UT Treasure 3, you will be able to negate that, because of what it says. Upon use, dispels negative effects, which basically means that if you do get stunned, you can still pop this skill, which is also very good in PvP. And it changes onto the S3 Light. The shield becomes irremovable, but reduces the shield to 50%. Now, if you get hit by Marias, Leos, or whatever, you can still pop the skill anyway. And you're gonna remove it. So if you get an A220 Evan, there will be a monstrous shield on this game that I don't know how big it's gonna be. But it is insane. And there's a cooldown on this thing, so you can do it multiple times in a fight. So that is massive. Massive. So onto the dark form, deals a total damage of enemies over 6 times in a wide range and inflicts stuns for a certain amount of time. So it stuns on impact, but then the last damage deals physical damage and stuns for a certain amount of time. So this thing will be a stunning capacity. So if he didn't have a broken kit already, his kit is gonna be even more broken. Okay. As for the Alchemy of Green, at the beginning of each battle, heals HP to all allies and reduces physical damage they take for a certain time. Okay, now that seems interesting a little bit for Eclipse, because we don't know how much this HP healing will increase, if this can be stacked by any chance, because it doesn't say that. And I kind of know that there's always a big wall of text when it comes to all of the skills. So all that you see over here will probably get emphasized even more. Another thing that is very notable is the T5 Dark, where you can get stacked every single time you go back into the Alchemist form, aka the green form. And you can get attack and attack speed, which is very useful for a little Shockman, because the attack speed on itself will definitely be good. For his unique weapon, Broken. So basically what it says, upon a skill use you get 400 mana back, assuming that a 5-star will give you either 1k, 1.25k, or even 1.5k depending on the scaling. Then that will be pretty interesting, but it reduces all physical damage the allies take for 5 seconds and increases physical damage. So not only do you get an increase, you get a decrease, so the gap of getting hit by something physical, ooh, that is gonna be sick. So for all you next players, for all you Ruru players, this is the counter, ladies and gentlemen. This is insane. As for the other unique treasures, now I find the 3 first to be really interesting, the 4th not so much. So let's go over the first one. Increases healing rate, reduces physical damage healed allies take by 10% for 15 seconds. So now this can't get dispelled, so that is nasty. But it also increases the damage by 50% on the darker form and reduces the heal rate of people. So basically, if you're fighting longer fights and you want to have more healing, you can reduce your enemy's healing rate by yourself. What? So that is pretty interesting. This can be used in Shockman, but I believe this one not to be the best one, because that would be the 3rd. As for the second one, reduces mana cost by 1 and increases attack of all allies within a range of the circle for 12%. Now, is this good for my chase, for instance? No, because my chase runs out of circles. Lucius, he just drifts out of that thing within the very first seconds of a fight, so that is not really that good. So I'm not liking that all that much for my team. However, if you are using physical casters or any other casters, that seems pretty broken too. And it reduces the cooldown of the second skill, which is the reduction of attack by a multitude, and attack speed reduction onto PvP is such an undervalued stat. So this could be a very suitable PvP unique treasure. However, so if the 3rd unique treasure wasn't already broken enough, by dispelling negative effects and gaining a shield, you can get CC immunity onto the dark form. So that was the stunning skill, so you can do that anyway, any form. Get the ball down, and oh my god, it will reduce a block chance of enemies. So this is so worth maxing out on PvP, but also on Shockman, because that dude's block chance, if he gets more mana, he gets more blocks. So that is pretty interesting as well. The reason why I think the 4th skill is really trash is it changed the duration of physical damage reduction up to 40 seconds. However, you can kill a big Shockman within 40 seconds, so the survivability will increase. So do I see you using this? Yes. Do I really like it? Nah. And it also increases the physical damage that enemies take for 10 seconds every 7 seconds. So that is probably up on skill use. As for the last thing, which I forgot to mention, is a soul weapon. So basically it can be used within a certain period of time. So instead of most healers that get it on skill hit, he is actually getting it over time, and it heals periodically and recovering mana of all allies over a certain amount of time. Now that is also pretty interesting, but we still don't know anything about the Advancement 1 or Advancement 2. So it could very much be broken, and it also depends on how long this soul weapon is gonna last. But it's a very easy cast one, because you can just do S3, can be removed, pop the soul weapon, and just you can just mash people down. Like my team is gonna be monstrous. Oh man. Oh, you want to get your chase into all of them? But once again, we'll have to see about that. If you want to see the Evan stream, make sure to check it out today. I will be streaming all day. Got 12 tickets of unique weapons lined up. I got 3 soul weapons lined up, so he will be lighted out of his wits. Like, oh man, I'm super hyped for this. I am super hyped. I cannot even. Oh, that is insane. Moving on to the patch notes now. I've been going over all of the changes of all of the characters already. There are some people who will become broken, but I won't go over them again. So basically what you'll have to look out for, Gao is going to be interesting. Maybe I'll speed run the character. So if we get enough likes, I may do that on the weekend. We got Lorraine, which will become a PvP, a monstrous. I'm not sure how well she's going to go in PvE, but I think she will become very viable in the future. Kaola, I'm not a fan. I don't look forward to even looking at the dude. Ezekiel, he will become another PvP monster, and I'm very curious how viable he's gonna be, but knowing that his Cursed Bloods, what used to be 4, will be lowered to 3, make sure that he gets into his Fury state more often. So wow, that is gonna be awesome. Nyla will receive overall boost on everything, so she will become crazy. So for the Nyla players that killed me, you're gonna have a free walk in the park if I don't get that. Kara will get a damage increase, which is interesting. Bernie will become a PvP League of Honor monster. His S2 will increase in the duration. It will almost double. It will have nearly a 100% uptime. Oh man, they nerfed Nyla for a little bit. This is not enough. I'm predicting what they're doing is they nerf it just a little bit, then they're gonna nerf it even further because she will still gonna be broken after this patch. I got my King one-shotted by an S3 and I was like, well, clip this bird's legs, like clip the legs and make sure that she will never be able to walk again, and she has to permafly so it takes energy, and then we can barbecue her and the legs and whatever, like do something to her, like Kane gets a nerf. I'm not sure how much is gonna hit me because I'm running a kind of a bruiser Kane. I think this will hit most of the Kanes that want to do the instant damage, the instant CCs and whatever. But with the coming of Evan, it's gonna be very interesting on what we're gonna look like. As for the new costumes, well, we got a few fire ones which I really like. I like the Crow one. The Shamila one looks absolutely fire. We get more gold boxes. Yes, so if you are running out of gold, this is the time to start playing the game once again. You can finally get your ethers in. Oh, that is pretty good. And now for one of the things that I believe is super interesting for newer players, gear acquisition will become so much easier. So basically what it says, up onto a certain T, then you can grind for a certain amount of powders. Now, how many do you need? You need about 1,500 of them. So that means you still need 500 gear to actually get yourself a T3 or a 3 option select ticket. That seems to be like a whole lot, but then again, if you can get a 3 option selector, that is ridiculous. Now for the Chaos, aka the Manticore set, it only takes 25, but the whole items cannot be farmed as much as the other items, and you can only get an option selector up to 2 lines. However, chances of you still getting the things that you want is really interesting. The only thing that you will have to do is be a little bit lucky on getting the 1 stat that you need and then reforge the last line. So that is pretty interesting. So I assume it will be very easy to acquire the Chaos Core set, which used to take me back in the day about 6 months to get the right items that I wanted, and even those weren't even maximized. Now you also need another currency for that, and that is the Beast of Chaos Core, and this can be obtained through Guild, Raid, Hard, and Hell mode. So I'm assuming it's either on the kill of one of those bosses, but I'm not quite sure. Another great addition to it is the Jin shop will now have not only your green, blue, red, and black dragon. No, it will have hero protection, suppression, and it will have Dark Legion sets. Now you can buy this stuff every week. There's only one big downside, and they already said the T8 selectors that you had prior to the patch will not be changing up. Like, this seems very bad, and I kind of use the tickets, blah 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 blah, but then again, I got about 16 million dragon points that I'm not using because I'm not buying these things. Now I can. So that is super interesting. Robots will be changed. It will go up to 1 ticket this time, and the legendary box will be added, meaning that if you get a legendary box, you will get good items. It used to be that you get bad items. You can get yourself cocaine, you can get yourself gold, and those items are things that you really don't need. You can get a random world boss artifact ticket, which is pretty insane. They will increase, and I like them to have this table on the rewards of the world boss, so now it will make it more accessible, as well as what it seems, if you hit up to the 2,000 points, you get a unique weapon fragment added to the weekly reward that you get. So that on itself is super insane. As for the new artifacts, all three of them straight fire. Let's go over the last two first, because they are Eclipse artifacts. Now, do you want to just make artifacts for just Eclipse? I would recommend doing that, because if you score high there, your ethers will amplify up each and every last week, meaning that you will be able to enhance that soul weapon up so high. So basically what it says, onto the second one, at the beginning of each battle, fixes self-defense to 0. Well, if you're running a damage dealer, that doesn't really matter. And increases damage to bosses by 20%, meaning that if you get this 1 to 5 star, it will become 50. So that's better than a Book of the Man by 15%. Now this thing can be compared to the Lulu's necklace. So on a 0 star, it's worse than a Lulu's necklace, because Lulu's necklace doesn't have the defense reduction, and it doesn't have, and it increased the mana over time. So that is pretty interesting. But if you do increase this one, obviously the damage will exponentially rise. So that is super interesting. Then instead of having a Abyssal Crown, you get Abyssal Core. Now, this one is super interesting as well, because basically what it says, at the beginning of every battle, when I read that, I look at the last part, stack up to 5 times. So if you have 5 waves, you will stack up the attack. You get 8% attack. Now this can go up to, I believe, 20 or 25, meaning that times 5, it will be either 100% attack or 125% attack. Now that is a major buff in comparison to the Abyssal Crown. So once again, if you are trying to score onto Eclipse, this artifact will become absolutely monstrous. As for the Earth Storm, this is a straight counter to wall teams. So that is super interesting. It says, when inflicted by CC, recovers mana up to 600. Yay, so my mana onto my Loma will start out if I do get CC'd by a Maria, Leo, or whatever. However, I'm not quite sure if onto a Leo's S3 it will get Dispel. Because if that is the case, you still get the mana, but you don't get the buff. Okay, but reading out the last part, increasing all damage the nearby enemies take by 12% every second. So assuming that you can upgrade this thing, it could either be 25% or maybe even 30% of all damage increase that the enemies take. Now, if you want to kill a wall team, this seems to be good, but it becomes even better. If affected into the arena, deals physical damage equal to 3% of the target's max HP to nearby enemies every second, bloody blah. This effect will not inflict a critical hit. Okay, so basically if you're running to a Sonya, a Philip with a lot of HP, my Nikki with a lot of HP, you will be doing damage to it by just standing there. Because one of the things that it doesn't say that this is inflicted by AoE radius, but I'm assuming it is because you get a buff. However, if it just sandstorms the whole area, and this is gonna be very nasty. So overall, this artifact is gonna be super interesting for a lot of burst comps. However, I'll be using it as well, because if I can kill myself a wall team faster than I already have, then it's gonna be nasty. Oh man, I like it. They will do some world boss adjustments. So basically what it says, they will increase the overall attack, so it will become harder to survive. So onto the newer players, it's a little bit nasty. However, if you were scoring low, you will be scoring low anyway. So it will not change as much, because if it happens to the higher end players, it will happen to the lower end players, so the ranking will still stay the same. Increases the CC gauge, so it will be harder to stun the World Boss 1 and World Boss 2. Then again, the damage received when stunned will increase, so it will make it more viable if you run stun in comps, or at least that's how I read it. As for the water prison on Proteanas, it used to be that you cannot activate any skills when you're in the water prison. That is what killed my team or my damage 9 out of 10 times, and if you don't do the X amount of attacks that is required to remove the buff, then you will receive a big cooldown reduction onto all of your skills, so that is nasty. I'm not sure what they do with the cooldown effect. It seems that it will still stay, but we'll have to check about that. As well as in the post change, they say it decreases damage dealt on the enemy and reduces a mana every second. So I'm assuming this is an attack debuff, so if by any means your Cecilia gets hit, attack will lower. It's on an RNG rate, so that can be quite nasty. However, it seems easier to remove this stuff. As for Xanadas, increases physical damage received on a greater skill. So for all you Pansy mains, for all you Crow mains or whatever, this is very awesome. I like this one. So hopefully we will be able to compete with the Eskers and the Syrias once again, or even better. Now this third effect is interesting, because it says the effect will be deleted where it increases the damage received as the time runs. So the longer the fight takes, more damage. So this seems to be a little bit more pointed toward the newer players, because now the end game players will not exponentially increase their damage, in contrast to newer players who cannot survive the full battle. But I'm not sure how much this is going to change, but we will not see the big ass numbers probably anymore that we have seen prior to this patch. And they changed up a little bit of a skill, increases damage taken instead of blah blah blah. I'm not sure which skill is which, so I cannot honestly tell what this change is gonna involve. Now another change that I want to mention is now if you do the Otherworldly Darkness battle, you have to pick your item that you want after clearing it before the match even starts. Now this is due to a bug where if you kill Shockmag, you DC and you just get any random item. I had one person in the guild that was mad as hell that got the wrong item because he DC'd afterwards, so I like this change, even though it seems very minor. Estelle can be skipped. I don't like things that I don't want to see. Monthly Orville Keck Berry will be added. That means more memory fragments. As for the bug fixes, I found a funny one that I really liked, where Kybera was able to get 2 swords in the Devour Shockman, aka a Little Shock. That seems pretty interesting. They shouldn't even have fixed this, because I would have actually wanted to see the damage coming out of him. As for the April events, once again, a login event. It's been a long time since we had one of those. There are some good items in here which I like. I think it's a little bit more pointed toward the endgame players, because of 2 things. One is you get a slate of trial. Now that doesn't mean a whole lot to newer players, I believe. However, getting a soul weapon in this game is huge. You get more cane nuts. Really liking it. I'm not sure how many this is containing, and you get a more time to play with Kane's balls. So that is quite interesting, and it's just by attending. As well as you get a stamina refill event. Now combined with the extra gold boxes that you can get, you get another 2k stamina a day. That is super interesting. And you can get yourself a normal temple and a enhanced temple by just doing this event. Now that is really RNG, however, but it can still turn out to be really good. So I'm looking forward to these events as well. Now to wrap it up, make sure to tune into my stream this coming week. I will be playing Evan, and I got about 12 unique weapons lying around, so I will be increasing this dude straight away. Got 3 soul weapons lying banked, so that will be pretty interesting. Let me know what you guys think about this patch. Put it down into the comments. If I forgot anything, put that there as well. But you know, once again, this is Twebby. Peace!